Hi everyone, it's Erin Gabriella. Thanks for watching and tuning in. Today I wanted to do a magical Akashic record reading. A magical Akashic record reading is unique. It's great for my witches out there or anyone that thinks they have magical powers or who wants to tap more into their magical powers. And the real difference between a magical Akashic record reading and a regular Akashic record reading is that the magical Akashic record readings really do pull forward only the lives that relate to your growth as a witch or as a magician, a warlock, etc. This can also be great for anybody who does magical type things like druidry or alchemy. I can dig into those lives and really pull out the ones that are most relevant to show you the magical lifetimes that you've lived and how they can help you grow now in your journey. I am offering a discount for 4 days only on my website, eringabriella.com. So the first magical Akashic record reading that I wanted to do is Kim Kardashian. You're probably thinking, why in God's name? And in some ways, I agree. But when I have been tapping in, asking, like, what is the first celebrity, dead or alive, to do a magical reading on, her name is the first one that keeps popping directly into my face. Like, there's just been no other options. And I've been asking and looking into it for the better part of a month now, or maybe even a few weeks. I don't even know. But her name comes up over and over and over. So it seems that it is the right time to talk about her and her records. Kim actually is an ancient soul, shocking as it may seem, by her life now and the one that she is living. She is well known for appearing to us to be quite shallow, quite narcissistic, attention seeking, and I certainly am not here to defend anything that she's done or the way that she comes off. I'm simply here to take a look at her past lives and how they relate to her journey here. Ultimately, taking a look at her Akashic record, she does have quite a few magical lives. The ones that are coming forward to me are mostly ones in which she has engaged in dark magic, specifically dark sex magic. She has plenty of other lifetimes as well where she's done light-based magic, but her presence on Earth at this time, she's really pulling from those darker lifetimes and those darker lessons and spaces that she's learned through her time dabbling in darker magic in this lifetime more than she is pulling on her light-based lifetime. That is by design. All of us on this planet have aspects of light and dark within us. We've all had lifetimes where we've been, for lack of a better word, kind of the hero, the light-filled, innocent, well-meaning person, and we've all had lifetimes where we've been the villain, vindictive, toxic, and all kinds of not great for ourselves, for the people around us, and for the planet. And Kim, you probably don't need me to tell you this, is very much occupying the latter energies right now, but that is for the growth of her family, the people immediately around her, at least some of them. And specifically for us as a humanity, she holds up a light, I suppose, even though that sounds like the wrong word, but she is holding up a light, or maybe a mirror is a better word, for all of us to help us understand the ways that the things that our society says that we value, especially in women, such as looks, and looks, that's basically it, really can erode and damage the fabric of our souls. And Kim is really here to specifically be an example of that in the hopes that our society will use her, and not just her, so many others, that have been popular in Hollywood and even in our day-to-day lives, as an example of where not to go and how not to be. I think it's also very interesting that Kim is widely considered to be kind of a massive joke in a way, even though she finds a way to stay in front of us and make money. A lot of people don't seem to like her, don't seem to respect her. And I get that a lot of that does come from envy, believe it or not, even though no one wants to admit it. It's kind of like a strange fascination with her and her beauty and her personality and the way that she acts, while also being strangely aware that the way that she goes about her life isn't necessarily the most honored way. So she's kind of occupying these two spaces of being held up as something or someone that people in our society who are more shallow would want to aspire to, but at the same time being a representation of everything that maybe on the spiritual level people don't want to be. So it's really, I believe that whatever you see in Kim is what you see in yourself but don't want to look at. So with that, all that said, let's get into her Akashic records a little bit more. The first thing that's coming up is yes, Kim Kardashian is jealous of Black women. Let's just get that out of the way. I am being shown a lifetime of her specifically like losing the love of her life. This is back when she was maybe more of an innocent, losing the love of her life to like a Black woman multiple lifetimes over. And it's sometimes it is true that certain karmic patterns do play out within certain genders and races. Like I've had issues with that where I see the same types of karmic patterns appearing with, for example, like white people, especially white women, like the same types of like white women coming up to me, bothering me, that it can cut into cultural and racial lines and be that specific. And that's kind of what it's looking like with Kim too, especially with regards to men, where she was in a tribal-esque situation, for lack of a better word. It wasn't a lifetime in Africa, but it was a lifetime where she was like in the village. She was of lighter skin, and this was during a time when lighter skin was not considered beautiful or as attractive as maybe like a darker skin tone, and curviness was still considered very attractive. So there was multiple times when she was like competing, she felt, for the attention of a specific suitor, for someone that she thought may have been a twin flame, and losing that person like several lifetimes over to someone who has maybe more Nubian queen type features, and just developing like a deep envy as a result of that. I also think that this is somewhat collective as well. Like there is a collective envy of Black women that no one acknowledges except for Black people. And like the few like white people or Asian people who are willing to stand up and say, yeah, that is a thing. Because largely envy is not openly stated. Like there's not many people who are going to be like, yeah, you're so awesome, I just hate you for it. Like most people aren't going to do that. They don't want you to know how awesome you are. But it is like a deep envy on her part of Black women, partly as a reflection of collective energies that is playing out worldwide, but also as a result of her individual lifetimes where she, in this particular vein around love, where she just wasn't able to find love, and the love that she did find, she was losing to someone that she, at that time, was considered more desirable, maybe better. I'm also hearing that these women weren't, even though maybe from Kim's perspective, she was losing these men to these women because of looks and skin tone and curves. The truth of the matter is, and this is just an insight that I'm getting, is that it's also what was inside of these women. Like they had more heart, more soul, more compassion, more kindness. And that's part of the reason why she has been consistently losing men, especially loves of her life, who she considers to be darker skinned men, to these women. It's more of what's on the inside, but in her lifetimes, it didn't really register as that. It kind of registered as just, oh, if I look like them, then I'll get that man too. It probably wouldn't have happened that way, but that's kind of what she's thinking. So that's part of the reason why in this lifetime she has been going out of her way to accentuate pretty much everything that she has. It's part of the reason why she chose the body that she had in this lifetime, and why she's been continuing to enhance it in any way that she can. I'm also hearing that Kim is a sex magic goddess, but again, and she is very mastered in sex magic. But in this lifetime, because she's here as kind of a beacon and a symbol for I don't want to call it the dark, because that's just too reductive. For, I don't even know, there's no nice way to say it. I guess for the dark, for lack of a better word, she was pulling on the shadow aspect of like a divine sex magic goddess to use like her sexual powers and sexual energy in a way that just either takes power from other people, specifically from men. She is very big on trying to twist the arm of the men that she's with so that she's kind of the dominant one in the relationship. So she goes into relationships with the intent of exerting power over those people, specifically men, partly as like a woman scorned type of energy, and using obviously her sex appeal to do that, but also in a way kind of bewitching like large portions of the society in which we live through her sexuality and through sex magic rituals and things that she does on her time, just to, for the most part, for her own gain, right? For money, for attention, to stay relevant. And I think that this is something that, to a certain extent, a large portion of the family engage in, but we're focused on Kim. So that's another like a major lifetime that's coming forward. As an aside, I don't tend to think that people who have like more of a shadow element in this lifetime are the most fun types of people to read. I'm much more excited to read for like people who are kind of beacons of light. So, but we'll keep going because I was guided to speak on this. Okay, and I'm also getting a lifetime of, I don't know much about Armenia at all, but I'm getting a read about like persecution in Armenia. And it might not have been modern day Armenia, but what we know now was modern day Armenia, like persecution by like darker skinned people. I'm not really getting a read on specifically African, but like darker skinned people, and that also having like an effect on her perception of brown people at large, like her kind of over eagerness to try to mimic Black woman's features and characteristics, her dogged attempts to date and subsequently attempt to ruin the Black men that she's dating. I'm sorry, that's what's coming forward. And but then like the irony of it all is like all her kids are brown, right? So she has this deep envy of dark women, this deep hatred of dark men, but now she has 4 kids, 2 Black females and 2 Black males. So you can probably guess how that's going to play out towards them. And I'm not going to get too much in it because it's everyone's still alive, and I think it's like rude to kind of talk about people's kids, but I'll just leave it there, right? Like the karmic patterning that has the potential to play out, given what we know with her children, is frightening. And this is just kind of maybe an example of how karma plays in through families. I know that it's so common for toxicity and karma to play in through families. And I think that this is, if nothing more, just a reminder of how an understanding of the Akash and of karmic patterns that play out across past lives can be a way to thwart any potential harm in the present. So instead of, maybe if she was in a session with me, I could take a look at kind of these past lives and these kind of past injustices, whether real or imagined, across like racial and cultural lines, and help work with her so that when she does engage as a mother with her children, she's really able to show up in a space that is healthy and empowering instead of accidentally or through some unconscious programming that she's not even aware of, maybe acting towards the children in a way that plays out those same karmic patternings when that doesn't need to happen. So I think that's just another way that Akashic record readings can be so beneficial, because it can really help protect us from, relationships or dynamics that can be disempowering or harmful, and help us understand why, like for example, we might be jealous of our daughters or our boyfriends or whatever, and kind of be able to work through that in a healthy way. As far as the dynamic with the rest of the family, the main one that's coming forward is more the mother as opposed to her other siblings. I think that there's so many of them, it's complicated, but I do think that there was like a domineering type relationship between her and her mother specifically. So then this is playing out a karmic pattern of lifetimes of just kind of being almost like a slave to the family, of being maybe the primary breadwinner for the family. Like I'm seeing lifetimes when she was Arabic and getting her with a covering over her head and some kind of traditional like clothing and maybe like face decorations kind of being sold off to a man that the family knew wasn't quite upstanding for money. Her having other lifetimes where maybe she wasn't married off, like she was a spinster and being forced to work in hellish conditions, like as a breadwinner for the family because they couldn't get money off her in marriage. These are like multiple lifetimes, multiple different scenarios coming through, and just her building like a deep resentment of both marriage and singlehood at the same time, because both of those experiences were extremely traumatic. And her mother figure, which I think has been her mother figure for several lifetimes going, especially in certain pivotal ones where there was a lot of pain for her, and that she hasn't always had pain in her lifetimes, but this is just what's coming forward now because it relates more to the life that she's living today and what she's expressing. Her being really under the thumb of the mother and just being almost like a puppet of the mother and just having an extremely difficult time breaking out of that as well. And having that being the template through which she now knows motherhood. So let me just wrap by saying this. You know, I personally don't have anything against Kim. This is not an intent to bash her. And I just want to end by saying that every single soul at some point in their life will have moments where they show up as like a light, a being of light, a happy, healthy, loving person who's here to spread joy, and a being of kind of like the opposite, where they're just kind of like seem to be a mostly negative force, or at least it seems that way. But everything is serving light. So I want to just put out that I've done my best to give this reading with the deepest respect for her journey. I am now seeing lifetimes of her as a little girl and lifetimes where she has been chosen to be a beacon of light and just being tapped into that energy that she has in great sacrifice cosmically to the collective has made a point to just kind of set aside in this lifetime so that she could present as this fake, like, and I'm saying fake because everyone is light at their core, but this kind of false dark screen. Seeing lifetimes of her as like a smiling young girl. I'm getting mostly female lifetimes as well that are coming forward. I'm sure she's had lifetimes as a man, but I'm getting almost exclusively female lifetimes. Of her as a young girl, like being a beacon of light, being that beautiful, positive energy, and just an awareness that she absolutely has lifetimes and different realities where she is the light worker and she is like a love-based being of light who's adored for her inner internal beauty that does exist within her. It's just we all have our own roles to play, and she has just come forward as a little bit more of a darker role in this particular timeline specifically, but that's not the whole of who she is. And that's certainly not the whole of all the lifetimes or the incarnations that she has had the privilege of playing out across all of the universe. She's had just as many lifetimes where she's been, believe it or not, a beacon of a tremendous peace, like the same as like an MLK or a Gandhi. Absolutely. She does have that capacity and she has had those lives. So it's important to state that as well. So that is the reading. My name is Erin Gabriella. Again, I do offer Akashic record readings and sessions. I have a sale that ends on April 17th, my time in the morning. So it would be around like the end of day, April 16th. So if you want to get 50% off discount, that's available on my website, eringabriella.com. Thanks so much.